The most intriguing and important component of complex PTSD to recognize is the occurrence of emotional flashbacks. But because this is quite a hard to understand phenomena, let's start with regular flashbacks through an example. A former soldier sped down the highway, her thoughts miles away. Without warning, her tire exploded, the deafening boom echoing like a gunshot. Instantly she was transformed back to the battlefield. Adrenaline rushing through her veins. Swerving to the side of the road, she leapt out of the car, instinctively ducking for cover. Heart pounding, she lay there, her breath shallow, and slowly, reality began to seep back in. And she realized there was no war. There hasn't been one for decades. This was a flashback. Now with emotional flashbacks, this would happen with emotions instead of images and sounds. There is nothing to even tell you that you are having one. But first, let's get into the scene. At a busy grocery store, a man, once victim of childhood abuse, navigates the crowded aisle, gathering items for dinner. The noise level grew, with carts clattering and children laughing loudly. Suddenly, a child in the aisle drops a jar of tomato sauce, and the parent's frustration and anger is immediately heard loudly. The man's heart suddenly starts racing. His breath comes in short, rapid gasps. His vision blurred, and he leaned against a shelf for support, struggling to catch his breath. And when he could breathe again, he stood up and felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of fear, shame, and worthlessness. He did not realize that the harsh tone of the parent's voice had triggered an emotional flashback, catapulting him back to his own traumatic childhood experiences. As if he was that helpless child all over again, at the mercy of his abusive authority figure. He thought he was having a heart attack at first, but when he went home, he decided it was a panic attack instead. Both were wrong. It was an emotional flashback. Now it can be more subtle and also more insidious than this. Imagine you drop your cup of coffee and suddenly your heart starts pounding. You feel small and helpless. You want to cry even. Such an out of proportion reaction, you must think. But what you don't know is that this brought you back to a time when a few minutes after dropping the cup, a raging mother would hasten towards a young girl before launching an airstrike of verbal or even physical abuse. With an emotional flashback, you might not even know that it's happening. So many things that you weren't aware of could have been an emotional flashback. Some people wake up in an emotional flashback every day, immediately feeling overwhelmed as soon as they open their eyes, and for no seeming reason. Some people live in them so chronically that they don't even know anything else anymore. If your years of trauma have passed by, you are safe but constantly anxious and hypervigilant. If you are surrounded by amazing people, yet constantly mistrust them and wait for the next stab in the back. If you think your life is good, but still feel sad or empty all the time. If you feel overwhelmed, rush, guilt, and worry for no seeming reason, chances are you are living in a flashback. If you suspect that this may be the case, dive into it on the internet and seek a therapist. The next video is going to be about grounding, one thing that may help you deal with emotional flashbacks. So follow for more.